webinar platform, to Facebook Live, and to YouTube. So let's see if this is going to work. Let's see. I'm not sure. Oh, I think it might be working actually. Let me go to my Facebook page and let me just see if I can renew and refresh that. So I think, yeah, let's see. Do I have to press go live? Not sure, but let me just add your title for the broadcast. Let me just give this a go and see what happens. Live stream from okay. Right, let's see. If I press go live, let's see what happens. I think it's working. So now let me see if I can check out YouTube as well and just see what happens there. Let's see. I don't know if I'll have to maybe check later because I'm not quite sure how you check and see exactly what's live on real time in YouTube. But let's give it a go. Oh, exciting. So what this means is I could do a live webinar. Let me check my iPad, see if I can see myself. Oh, I can. I think it's working. Oh my God, I think it's working. So what happens? Oh, Kay got a notification and is watching you live on YouTube. Kay, that is absolutely fantastic. So I actually think this is working. So what I'm just doing is a very, very quick test. I'm streaming from my webinar platform simultaneously to YouTube and to Facebook, and I'll have to check later, but it looks as though from the message I've just had from the lovely Kay, it looks as though it is actually streaming into and Kay says right from the beginning. Fabulous. So that means me fiddling about going, oh, is this going to work? So that's really cool. And I realize now it takes a little bit of initializing to get it to work in Facebook. And I know now I have to also press an extra key. But this is really cool. Actually, while I'm here, because I am just messing about and testing, but while I'm here, fabulous. Brilliant. Thank you, Kay. You're a superstar. So while I'm here, I think today's life lesson, I've not long back from ballet class, and I got out of the habit of stretching every day, and I've been reminded today how ridiculously important it is. And it's not a huge amount of time. I do a little bit of stretching my calves. That's probably, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. And I can actually do that while I'm watching TV. I've got a little sort of bar thing in my office that I can do my kind of plie stretches and side stretches, etc., etc. And I had a couple of weeks as a timeout a few weeks ago. This past 2-3 weeks has been serious catch-up time, and it's just kind of sort of passed me by. Brilliant, and it just sort of passed me by in terms of just doing it. And there are a couple of things that I do. There's a thing that we do with the healing process that I do with my membership group, so I do that every single day for about 10 to 15 minutes. Also got a vibration plate that I use as well. And so I'm doing stuff, and I've got an exercise bike, so I get on that normally in the mornings just to kind of warm up. But the stretching thing has fallen by the wayside, and I really felt it today. And it really reminded me about, in life, you can take things for granted. You can do something to the point where it's working. And I think that what then happens is people actually then stop doing the thing that works. Now, I'm not a fan of just repetition for the sake of repetition. It's always a case of, is it actually working for you? However, that said, when something is working, unless you find a better alternative, keep doing it. And of course, it's mixing it up as well. So there are a number of different ways I can stretch. I definitely, for myself, have to work at university. That was many years ago. I'm now 50. But at university, I could actually do the splits, and I could do the scissors and the box split. Nowhere near being able to do that now. I can barely cross my legs. So hip flexibility is definitely a challenge for me. I've got some old injuries from an old car crash many years ago. So, you know, neck and back flexibility has been a bit of a challenge as well. So I'm fully aware of the areas where I definitely need more flexibility. However, today I was reminded of how the power of those tiny little incremental things, because a 2 or 3 minutes here, a 3 or 4 minutes there, a 60 seconds there, while and I still, I'm still messing about when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, practicing my balance, practicing my pirouette position and all of that. However, the stretching, which seems to be a really small and insignificant thing, is absolutely key. So it was a very good reminder today to do the things that work, those little pieces. And gonna this is a fabulous, talking of ballet, got this for birthday, love it, wonderful book about ballet, a mixture of pictures and also wonderful quotes, etc., etc. I just thought we might find something just to kind of finish off with. Right, opened it up at this, let's see, wow, let me just show you this, just so you can see the beauty of the form here that we're talking about. It's what I aspire to. Misty Copeland is in my mind. So she says, I grew up in a log cabin in Pine Creek, Montana, a small town. It was, wow, a town so small, it was recently up for sale. Who knew you could buy a whole town? She says, I grew up without a TV, surrounded by nature. One summer, huge herds of buffalo escaped from the park and decided to graze in our playground. We had to wait to go out for recess until the American Indians arrived to round them up. My first exposure to dance was from a beautiful lady named Judith Younger Hurstens, who had danced with the San Francisco Ballet. She taught us movement classes in the back of a restaurant. And this is Maria Sasha Khan, who is a principal dancer for the State Ballet in Russia. And so, I mean, I've just opened this one at random, photo reading style. And I'm thinking about, when was my first introduction to dance? Actually, I probably do know the answer to that. It was Elvis Presley. It would have been Elvis. And probably a touch of, the era of Gene Kelly, because I wasn't in Gene Kelly's era, let's just get that straight. However, there used to be Saturday matinees that would come on TV. So I'm guessing, because I used to watch Elvis from, from when I knew what a TV was, I used to watch Elvis. So that would have been, I'm sure, my first exposure to dance. My first exposure, I think, to real dynamic dance and seeing the power of dance, I'm pretty sure would have been Michael Jackson, and seeing some of his, because I grew up, I definitely was in Michael Jackson's era. They had like a cartoon TV show when I was growing up as well, and I had posters of Michael Jackson. He must have been, I don't know, 10, 12 years old. So that, I think that would have been Elvis. Would have been my first exposure to big screen dance. Michael Jackson would have been my first exposure to the dynamic power of dance, and in between that, even something as simple as a Disney movie might have done it as well. Thank you, Kay. Kay says, I have to leave now for the bus and not able to report. But Kay, you've been absolutely fantastic, because I had no way of really checking whether the YouTube was streaming. And so that is wonderful. Have a brilliant trip wherever you are off to tonight. And thank you so much for joining me. So yeah, dance. And for me, dance has been a big deal. And I first started, I didn't call them dance breaks back then, of course, I do now for my clients, but I first started using dance as a way to forget things that were going on and to kind of put them out of my mind when I was 7 years old. And again, it may be because of the joy of dance, because when you watch those MGM movies, there is a joy, there's a passion, it's just wonderful. If you haven't ever sat down and watched Judy Garland, Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, Elvis, if you've never kind of watched any of those MGM era movies, there is such a kind of a joy to it all. And so I figured out very early on that movement and dance would be a way to, what I'd call in NLP terms now, do a break state. Back then, I wouldn't have called it anything. It was just my way to forget everything that was kind of going on around me. So, and with regards to ballet, I was saying to somebody in the ballet class a couple of weeks ago that the closest I got to doing ballet as a child was getting a ballet Cindy. Cindy doll. And Ballet Cindy had white fish. Is she wearing fishnet tights? No, she's not. She was wearing white fishnet tights. She had plastic pink ballet shoes, and her foot, rather than being that way, she had a swivel in the foot. So she could then go on point, and she had a little plastic stand that you'd put her leg into, and then she could sort of, do that. And so Ballet Cindy was the closest thing I got to doing ballet as a child. I can't say I sat around going, oh, I really want to go to ballet class. It just wasn't in my psyche, because I knew that was not an option. I lived on a council estate in South London. I don't even know if I knew there was such a thing as a ballet class. Of course, I knew people did ballet, but Ballet Cindy was my closest thing. I loved that doll. You could also position her hands, so that was fabulous. And she had like a little pink tutu, and it was brilliant. And so I've always loved watching ballet. I've always thought how wonderful and graceful ballet is. And the way it came about, I was doing pole fitness classes, and there was a woman who, no matter what we were doing, she looked elegant and she looked graceful. And at one point I said, have you done gymnastics or ballet? And she said, oh yeah, I did them both as a child, but mainly ballet. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I was 46 years old at that point, somewhere in the back of my mind I thought, right, that's it, I'm going to do ballet. And it was one of those random thoughts. And so I did pole fitness for 2 years. God, seriously, I did martial arts in my 20s and 30s. And used to be a bit of a gym bunny, all that kind of stuff. I will tell you, hands down, pole fitness, what some might call pole dancing, we were not wearing the heels and all that. It was barefoot, it was military style. It was hard work. Pole fitness is the hardest thing I've ever done, hands down. The martial arts I used to do was something called Kateda. So it's the one where you do all the press ups on the knuckles and the breaking the boards on your stomach and all that malarkey. And pole fitness is harder than that for me. And so I did 2 years of pole fitness, and they moved the studio. And I was like, what am I going to do now? And it was the same when I did pole. One of the reasons I did, I remember in the 90s, there were a couple of articles in the Evening Standard newspaper, and it was talking about people doing pole fitness classes. And I remember looking at it and going, wow, that would be a really good full body workout, which it totally is. And how it came about, the decision to do pole, I was sat on my sofa one evening and I got up. And as I got up, I observed and I heard myself go, oh, ow, oh. And I'm like, that's the old people noise that old people used to make when they came round for Christmas. They'd always sat in the armchairs. We would have our corned beef sandwiches. We'd have the grapefruit with the kind of the stick in it, and you'd have the glacé cherries and the cheese and a bit of ham or something. And so people would sit, they would eat, they would have what we call the black cake, which is the Christmas fruit cake, and all of that sort of stuff, turkey, you name it. And then when they got up to go to the bathroom, or they got up to actually leave, they would all go, ooh, ah, ow. And when I did it on my own sofa, I'm like, oh my God, I've just made the old people's noise. I'm only 46 years old. I better sort this out. And my brain was like, we need to exercise. And I don't want to join the gym. Boring for me nowadays, not interested. And I said to myself, I need a full body workout and something that will be fun. My brain was like, well, what about pole fitness? You looked at that 15, 20 years ago. And I'm like, all right. And I thought, I don't want to travel into London every week. That's just a bit of a burden. And I said, if there's a pole fitness class at the top of my road, I'll do it. I was being completely flippant. I get online the next day. I check online. There is a gym at the top of my road. They were running pole fitness classes. Not only were they running classes, they were starting a new term. My brain was like, well, you did say, if it's at the top of your road, you'll go. And so I went, I signed up, I did it. And, rest of the day's history. So I did that for 2 years. Then they moved the studio, and it was just too far to get to. They moved it out to the outskirts of town. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? My brain was like, well, you did say you wanted to do ballet. And I was like, oh, what are the chances of there being a ballet at the top of my road? Now, I didn't quite strike it lucky with ballet. It's a 30-minute walk. However, ballet is all about the warm-up. And if you are a professional ballet dancer, And if you've ever watched World Ballet Day, watch it when it comes around. There may actually be some recordings on YouTube and Facebook. I was stunned to realize that even the professional dancers spend at least an hour, normally an hour and a half, often 2 hours, just warming up, just doing basic bar work and floor work every single day. And so ballet is about the warm-up. So I told my brain, I'm like, look, that 30-minute walk there will be my warm-up, so that by the time I arrive at class, my muscles are warmer, which is very true, because it's a brisk 30-minute walk. It's not a stroller. If it was a stroller, I need 40 minutes. And so that's cool. So it wasn't at the top of my road, but it's in walking distance, kind of. And so I took up ballet at the age of 47 and a half. And I know I'm 40 years late in terms of many people take up ballet at age 7. And I am dancing with people. There are people in the class who have been dancing there pretty much their whole life. We've actually got a couple of ballet teachers in the class as well. And then you've got me, the beginners. And so it's a real sort of mixture of skills, and I love it. It's challenging. It's getting my body to do things that my body was really not designed to do. And I've said that a few times in class. I remember when we were, there's something called rond de jambe en l'air, where you kind of extend the leg and then you carry it around, and you keep your hips facing forwards, and everything happens in the rotation of the hip socket. Not my hip socket. And at one point she's explaining this, I'm doing it, I'm like, Faye's a teacher, I says, my body wasn't designed to do that. She went, no, it wasn't. Anyway, on 3, and I'm like, all right, no sympathy here. So I'm requiring my body to do things that, number 1, it probably wasn't designed for. Number 2, when you're quite stiff and inflexible, because I never did gymnastics as a child. Yeah, we jumped on the pommel horse when it was raining outside, but that was the extent of it, really. So I never did ballet, I never did gymnastics, so I didn't have that kind of, muscle memory and inbuilt flexibility. And then with all the car accident and the trauma that came for the 15 years after that, things, scar tissue and all of that sort of thing did restrict movement in many respects. And there were times I could barely move my neck. I could just about do that, and I certainly couldn't move it from side to side. So I've had a lot of stuff going on, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I aspire one day to look like the people in this fantastic book. One can dream. I've also jokingly said that I would love to perform at the Royal Opera House on or before my 70th birthday and do a ballet performance. That would be amazing. So we'll see where it goes, but I'm doing it for fun. I'm not taking any exams, I'm not doing any grades or anything like that. I'm doing it because I absolutely love it, and it's just brilliant, great fun, absolutely wonderful. Right, so before I bring this stream to an end, let me just check. Oh, it's really cool actually. So just to give you, because I'm probably going to have to share this with people who haven't tried this functionality yet. So what I can see, because this is a test, I can actually go into Facebook. So same as I would, I can see the comments in Facebook. If I didn't invite anyone to the webinar because I just set it up in 5 minutes. But if I were in the webinar, I could do everything that I do. So I could have you guys in here. We could do the chat. I could show you my PowerPoint slides. The thing that I believe will not happen when I'm streaming on a webinar, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you won't be able to see the PowerPoint slides. You'll just hear me talking about them. But it's actually quite nice to know that I can actually flip over and see what's going on in Facebook, so I can see all the comments and all of that sort of stuff. Haven't quite figured out yet how I track what's going on YouTube, because I will admit to you, I rarely watch things live on YouTube. So I know there's a bit that shows you who's live now. I'm not on it. Although I know that Kay got a notification to say that I was streaming on there. So I'll check that out later. I'll go to my channel. No doubt it will be dropped on there as well. Oh yeah, there it is, live now, Simulcast. There I am. This is very cool. I like it. I like it. So yeah, cool. Well, this is a beta test. For those of you who have been following my progress and exploits when it comes to technology, you'll know I've been testing and looking at a lot of stuff. I have to say, in terms of webinar technology, this is the best one I've seen in a long time. It's called Big Marker. Actually, let me get a link. I think I've got a link. you can do a free trial. Let me put the link in the, it's in, I think it's might be in the YouTube comments, but I'm going to drop a link in the comments for Facebook. So it's bigmarker.com !referral_code equals Marilyn Devonish. So use my referral code for your free trial, but you can do a free trial of the platform. It is really, really good. So this is the platform I'm going to be using for doing a live stream of the whole photo reading workshop. And what I can do with that, I can put handouts into the webinar room. We can do polls, so I can ask you guys questions that will immediately work out the percentages. You can be in a regular chat room. There's a Q&A facility as well. And also what I can do for participants, particularly when I'm running a workshop with PowerPoint slides and handouts, is you have the option of either switching on your microphone so we can talk in real time. You also have the option of switching on your webcam. So if you want to come on and ask questions, what I would say to that though is you will be on the footage of the training course. So I've got one lined up for that. I'm going to do a full version of the whole photo reading workshop. Whole 2.5 days. We're doing it at the end of October, so you'll get the handouts in the same. Some of the handouts I might send you beforehand, actually, like the Star of Wonder, because I want you to be able to draw that in real time. But I can send you the handouts. I'll deliver them into the training room. We can have the full-on interaction. I'll go through the same PowerPoint slides and presentations and exercises that I do in the actual photo reading workshop. And so that's for people who can't make it, who live outside of the UK, who can't make it to the workshop, but you still want to have the photo reading experience. So that's going to happen at the end of October. And that's cool. So that means when I'm running some of my, just more general stuff, like, for instance, I ran the Angel Tarot and Huna webinar last week. I ran one on archetypal profiling and archetypal branding the week before. I think the first one I did was a test of the Money Breakthrough program, took you through 3-4 of the exercises from that. And it means that if I wanted to, I can stream those to YouTube and Facebook as well. You just won't be able to get the handouts or any of the links that I share with the group or see the PowerPoint slides. But if you just wanted to listen into what's being said, this platform will give you the ability to do that. So I would say the first test has been a success. So tick for streaming on YouTube, tick for streaming on Facebook, and a tick for streaming in the webinar platform as well. There is a bit of a time delay because I can see myself on Facebook and I'm clearly saying something different to what I'm saying now, but it will catch up. And yeah, and I guess, I know it's cool. So I like it. I like it. Lots of possibilities, which is absolutely fantastic. And it even works with then importing a different camera overlay. But I know there's a bit of lag using, so many overlays. I'd probably just use my direct webcam rather than running it through the other system as well. But thank you for joining me for this very first test of the streaming on multiple platforms. Delighted to report that it works. Yeah, so I'm now going to go and get out of my ballet gym kit. What time is it? Haven't had dinner yet. Oh my god, 11 p.m. So post ballet hunger, I can now feel it kicking in. So I'll get out of my ballet kit, probably get a little bite to eat. I'll probably start with a cup of green tea first and some water, because sometimes thirst can mimic hunger. So we'll see. But thank you for joining me for the test. Thank you, Kay, for the heads up to let me know that it was working on all cylinders. And the next webinar, worry about it, the next webinar I'm thinking of running is one about how to produce great content at lightning speed. I did a 1-hour intro for the Missing Letter Uppercase Conference Online Business Summit this week, which was great fun, and it went so fast. An hour is you can just have a quick overview. So what I might do is run that as a half-day webinar training. So we'll see about that. I'm mulling that one over. I've put something in my e-newsletter just to kind of gauge whether or not people are interested. Is it a subject that they might want to take part in? So I'll feedback on that. And what I'm also planning to do is possibly run an online networking event, like a cocktail party, one evening, you know, turn up, have your favorite drink. We all know by now, I'll be here with the water, but bring your favorite drink, let's network, find out who you are, what you're doing, get to know people, exchange some contact details, which we can do very easily in the webinar platform. So those are the next things I've got planned for this, and as and when other ideas come to mind, because actually there's scope for doing so much in this format, given that, you know, the slides, the handouts, the polls, the questionnaires, just brilliant. So I might even start transitioning some of the other types of workshops that I do. I'm even thinking of the public speaking and presentation skills training as well. But, you know, possibilities, I think, are endless. So thank you so much for watching me. Wishing you a fabulous morning, afternoon, evening, depending on what time it is in the part of the world that you live in. Thank you for joining me for the test, and I will catch you all later. Bye-bye.